Welcome to the podcast, and I apologize for lousy audio yesterday. We were messing with a camera in here a couple of weeks ago. That's why with the poor quality a couple of weeks ago. I don't know what happened yesterday. The quality of the audio is bad. The quality of the content was phenomenal. It was a great visit yesterday with my friend Kimberly Newman and Taylor, who I must say, I try to say this as objectively as possible. Not surprising for someone who runs a boutique. Taylor is probably the most attractive, the best looking human being who has ever been in this building of radio trolls. You know, radio people, I mean, there's a reason why you're on the radio. But it was a great visit with them yesterday. Before we get to someone that is who will join us from a school, a quick school story. But before we do that, 7 years ago, maybe probably 6 years ago. We'll keep it 6 years ago to be safe. A listener, probably the old show, reached out to me and said, hey, a couple people I went to school with at Southview, they have moved back to the area, and I think you'd really like what they have going on. So I met Sam and Logan from Mid-Story, and after they explained to me what they were working on then, I kind of gave it a way to explain it to other people. And even today, that phrasing remains. After they explained to me what they do, the storytelling they do, and I'm like, oh, this is like a millennial version of public radio. And that is still a fitting description of what they do, the beautiful storytelling. They have branched out beyond telling Toledo stories to regional and Midwest stories. Beyond that, they do a lot of researching and data analysis, and they're also a miniature think tank. They're housed over at UT, and I ran into them a couple of weeks ago when I got the opportunity to speak at Owens, and I was like, I am sorry. You know, I'm pretty good with connecting with people. They have their heads down because you look at their stuff, you'd think they have a massive operation. It's like 5 people, and those 2 are doing so much of the work. So I ran into them a couple of weeks ago for the first time since I had met with them. So we did full circle, and I met them at Brew on Secor 6 years ago, and we did that again today, and it was a great 2-hour visit with them. So I ask you to please give a look to what Mid-Story is. With any hope and luck, I'm going to connect them with some people, and hopefully they will be quite well renowned for what they can do for here, where we live. Okay, so the other story, and I don't bring up this kind of like nonsensical school drama on the radio show. Sometimes it comes up here because I've thought on it, like Perrysburg levy and things like that. TPS is offering incentives for attendance. I think gas cards, grocery gift cards, some sports tickets. And you're probably thinking, the kids should just go to school. It's not that easy when it comes to who TPS has in their buildings. So I'm all for that idea. Perrysburg School's teacher under investigation for following students' bus home to check if they finished their homework. That's a quirky story. I'll scroll down here a little bit in the WTOL story. According to police, the student's father arrived at home to find the teacher at the front door. So this gets weirder. Like that in itself, like you might think, was the teacher concerned about the student's welfare? Is there something lascivious going on? Sordid. The teacher reportedly stated he was confirming the student completed their assignment because the class would receive a pizza party if all students completed their assignment. My, oh my, what a weird twist to that story. We'll slide over from Perrysburg Schools to St. Francis, where my friend Dancing Dom Glover is. Dom has been on in the past. I was introduced to him not within the first days I moved here, within my first days working on the morning rush. Philip, our old friend Philip, who moved over to London. To me, Philip, it was like the Three Musketeers. Philip, Sam, and Dom. It's all been kind of split up now. Dom is the mastermind behind putting me in makeup and a dress to be Mother Ginger for the Nutcracker a couple of years ago. Dom is putting together a show of Memphis. And to be rather succinct, he needs black people, both to perform and be in the audience. And he puts it in longer words than that. I did not want to say a vicious cycle. I called it unfortunate. But I asked around, and apparently we don't have an untapped black performing community, at least not one that is organized. Maybe what Dom's about to share will be the catalyst for that. Let's start at the beginning. What is Memphis?
So Memphis is quite the dynamic musical about a black woman in the South who does music, soul, gospel, blues, rock and roll, and she's trying to become famous, and she's trying to make her music for the world to hear. And then this white disc jockey comes along. Now, mind you, this takes place in Memphis. Hello. And it's around the 1950s, early 1950s. So it just predates, because they make a reference to it, it just predates the Dick Clark show.
Okay.
So, it's around that time where like the big shows, big televised productions of song and dance are about to become a thing. And people are about to start getting, their variety shows and all that kind of stuff. And it's a story of forbidden love. Of course, there is racism sprinkled in it because this is in the Jim Crow South. Let's talk about it. And it's a high kicking, high energy, just moving show. I think it was, I'm not even going to try to say the year. I know it did win Tony for Best Musical. I want to say 2010. Don't quote me on that. I should know better than that. Don't quote me. But it is a Tony Award winning Best Musical. Yeah, and it's a fantastic show, and it's really special to me.
I'm loosely familiar with it, but thank you for describing it fully. My ears perked up when you said white DJ. Do you need to cast that role?
No, that role is already cast. That role is cast. Thankfully, I'm really happy about that, actually. But there's a lot of, people in the theater world, people around here, you hear like ensemble, and it's just like, ensemble. That's just kind of like, quote, people think of it as like the nobodies, or, just the people who do things and don't get like the spotlight. No, this ensemble does a lot. This ensemble does a lot. I think this is kind of what they call like the Greek chorus type of thing. Like, this ensemble is heavily involved throughout the entire show, as well as the leads, because the music is rock and roll, and it's alive. It has a pulse, and it moves. So there's something for everybody to do in here.
Let me go to the end, and then we'll come back to what you're looking for. Did I see? Is June 3rd the date that I have? Do I have that right?
June 3rd for
the performance.
No, the opening night is June 6th.
Got it. Okay.
The show runs at the Toledo Rep. Yeah, it runs at the Toledo Rep 10th Street stage from June 6th, that's opening night, until the 22nd. So it's the first 3 weekends in June. It's
excellent.
Long time.
Tickets,
I think we get 11 shows.
Tickets available now?
I believe so, through the Toledo Rep or the Toledo Rep website. Yeah, they should be.
Okay, now let's talk about, and I hope you're willing to talk about what you were texting me the other night. You need some performers, and there's kind of I don't want to call it a vicious cycle, but you're looking for a certain kind of performer for what this is, and trying to invigorate or pull out of the shadows a certain type here.
Yeah. So I'm really passionate about trying to get different stories heard, get different people seen. Doing a show like this in the Toledo area is really difficult because you don't really have a huge pool of black dancers, actors, singers. I'm going out on a limb saying this, but I think it just needs to be addressed of how there are pockets where a lot of African American performers exist. And it's not necessarily in like the general public domain of theater. I feel like there's a couple different ways that could be said, and I don't know if any of them will be really taken very well. But just basically put, there's not a lot of black people to pull from in the general theater community. So it's like, okay, if people are trying to do shows to amplify these voices, then hopefully we can get black people to come out. But then people don't really come out, so then these shows don't get done. But then black people say that shows that show our faces that tell our stories aren't done. It was like this vicious cycle of, not doing the shows, but people not showing up, but because they're not doing the shows, but because people aren't showing up, but because they're not doing the shows. You know what I mean? And it's just like, where do we find that break?
I asked a lot of my people, and I said, are you aware of any like lurking or quiet Black performing community here in the area? Or do you know of anybody who might be interested in being a part of that? And I got a lot of no's. So maybe this is the start of something like that. Maybe somebody will hear this or see the things that you're putting out there, and we'll be emboldened to go, I've always liked this. Here's my opportunity. And then, like you said, you said vicious cycle. I'll call it an unfortunate cycle, because maybe we just needed something to kind of rattle the tree to get this started, and hopefully Memphis will be that. So you are looking for performers.
Yeah, we're looking for performers. I definitely need dancers. I'm directing and choreographing the show, a lot of work. And I have a lovely assistant, and I think I'm going to have a very dynamic team. And I think it's going to be a fun time. Because like I said, and I'll go ahead and share this. For me, I did a production of Memphis 10 years ago up in Michigan. And it was the best experience of my life, with meeting so many new people and being on a new stage and entertaining a new crowd and telling a story that I just not just felt, but I knew was real and like needed to be heard. I was so emotional, and I completely fell in love with the story. And it's like, I want other people to have that experience on their own terms. You know what I mean?
I would love for you to be a magnet for anybody of color or anybody that wants to get off the sidelines. And we know that we love our art museum. We know about the artsiness of Uptown, and there's murals everywhere, but we have a phenomenal performing community, and I'm always happy to support you and my friends that are a part of it. But there are people that might not know this, and here's a great opportunity to, if not be a part of it, go check out something that would be quite unique here.
Yeah, for sure. Or, at least, try something new. Because I know there's talent out there. I've seen it. I know that there's talent out there. I've definitely seen it.
If you can
it would be nice to showcase it.
If you can put me in a dress and makeup, you can get somebody to, come dip their toe in the water.
I know. Thank you, Mother Ginger. Thank you for being Mother Ginger once again.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Last thing, how can people track you down if they are interested for any of this?
I am on the social interwebs, so you can find me on Facebook under Dom Glover. You can you can request to follow me on Instagram. I think it's Dom_dances5 or something like that. And the pictures are the Memphis logo, so you'll know it's me. Memphis is my personality online right now. Otherwise, you can apply directly through the rep. We do have a second round of auditions coming up Saturday, March 29th, and Sunday, March 30th. That's an open call. So you can show up within the allotted time. Words are hard. We can post that website. We can post a link to that. I can share that with you.
Good. Yeah, I'll include it in the description of the podcast episode. Thank you. Yeah. And I would get in trouble for my best friend if I didn't, and she didn't say this, but if she knew that I spoke to you and didn't say anything, Alex says hi and she loves you.
I tell her I said hi and I love her just as much.
Will do.